Welcome, everybody, to our new show that is Big Hoof Energy. I'm your host, Ryan Anderson, and I'm joined now by one of my co-hosts, Jackson Muniz, who we obviously host Get Buck Together, and our newest co-host from the NYRA circuit, that's Kaylie Shapiro. Kaylie, what's going on? Jackson, how you doing?
I think it's pronounced hoof, not hoof.
I think so too. Yeah. I think I immediately mispronounced one of the three words that I need to pronounce correctly.
Good start.
It's all right. Thanks everybody for joining us, and obviously thanks to you, Kaylie, for joining us on this new show as we focus on the East Coast tracks for this one. And today we're going to be going over this Saturday's late pick 5 sequence, as well as race number 3, which is the Notebook Stakes for I think it's open 2-year-olds, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe state bred 2-year-old. Thank you, Jackson.
Ew.
Jackson, you're on it. I'm just getting back into the swing of things. We obviously took a good little week off during, what was that, Breeders' Cup, and didn't use my brain much, if I'm being honest. So we're getting back into it. It was nice to get back in the handicapping swing of things. Jackson, we'll start with you. What'd you do with your kind of week off?
I tried to take the whole 2 weeks off or whatever it was, but I think I made it just Saturday at Del Mar, and didn't do great, so should have just taken the full 2 weeks. So, but that is what it is. It's Del Mar. I can't miss Del Mar.
Absolutely, and I was pretty similar. I didn't quite make it. Kaylie is our newest co-host. Why don't you give us a little bit about yourself, and then what'd you do after Breeders' Cup wrapped up?
Hi. After Breeders' Cup, I probably slept for like 2 days straight, kind of, and then just went back to work on Wednesday. So just had those 2 days, which was enough for me. I slept pretty much the whole time, but a little bit about myself. I work for NYRA Bets. Just started like over a year ago. I work in operations and a little marketing, and I've been starting out doing content with Matthew DeSantis at NYRA Bets, and I really like it. So just going to keep going with it, and really excited for the show with you guys.
Awesome.
As well.
Yeah, Matthew, good friend of ours, good friend of the show. Got to meet him out at Del Mar. Jackson, I want to say you met him too. Maybe.
Ooh, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't think so.
It's already.
We talked on here though, for sure. Yeah,
we did. We definitely talked on here, but it's just such a blur. All right, everybody. Before we get into this race number 3 to kick us off, please like and subscribe. Turn those notifications on for future episodes. And we got race number 3 here. It's the Notebook Stakes for State Bred. Thank you, Jackson. State Bred 2-year-olds. We're going 6 furlongs on the dirt. Picks are up on the screen. All pretty similar. I picked the race 614. Jackson picked the race 163. And Kaylie picked the race 615. And Kaylie, we'll start with you. That's the number 6. Oh, got to scroll down. Number 6, I think it's Kenny B. You picked this horse on top. So did I. What did you like here?
So first time out, this horse was against Man in Finance and got second. But this horse had a bit of a difficult start in this race. I remember, I think he tripped coming out of the gate, stumbled coming out of the gate, and was able to show professionalism enough to be able to get the lead afterwards, after stumbling out of the gate. And then next time out, won by 8.5 lengths and got an 85 buyer. So there's a lot to like about this horse. And I was gonna go towards the 1 on top, but I figured the 1 would probably be a bit more of a short price than Kenny B. So that's kind of why I looked towards Kenny B. And with that 85 last time out, I think that probably makes him the horse to beat. So
absolutely, I agree. And I agree with that. That was excellent. And just the outside draw over the 1 kind of put the 6 Kenny B over the top. Jackson, we'll go to you because you picked the number 1 Man in Finance on top. Kaylie and I both have him in second. Would you like here to pick this horse in front of the 6?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the 1 and 6 are way the horses to beat. Those 2 figures they've earned they just leap off the page, right? And Man in Finance won that race by a big margin. Kenny B was not close. I know he had some trouble in there, and he was quicker from the 1 hole, but it was never in doubt that Man in Finance was the better horse that day. I don't love this rail draw for him, but I do think if he's able to move forward at all for Danny Gargan, who's usually a little bit better second time out, it may not just matter because might just be better than these. I'm curious to see how they bet this because there's reasons to like both the two favorites in the spot.
Yeah, without a doubt. In third, I picked the number 4. Kaylee, you picked the number 5, and Jackson, you picked the number 3. So all right next to each other. Jackson, will stick with you. That's the number 3. Soon to be king?
Yeah.
What drew you to this horse in third?
Just feels like a horse that might be the best closer. I would talk about the speed in here. The 1 and 6 very quick. Wesley's got 2 fillies in here. I'm assuming they're trying to duck with the Angels, who runs this version of the race on Sunday. She's gonna be like 1 to 9, so that's probably why they're entered here. If they go really quick, the 3 horse can be one that has proven he can pass horses. He's got figures that really aren't that far behind, so if it does fall apart, I won't be shocked if he's coming down the lane with a big run.
Absolutely. Is with the Angels the Linda Rice horse?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. That horse shockingly wasn't in the Breeders' Cup, but definitely would have been a heavily bet horse had she shipped over. Kaylee, you like the number 5, Shoot It True in third. What kind of attracts you to pick this horse underneath the 2 favorites?
So Shoot It True. Won on debut. And then next time out was actually the favorite in the Kentucky Juvenile at Churchill Downs. I think a heavy favorite as well. Finished 4th, weakened a little bit, and then now gets blinkers off in this spot. And Wesley Ward, just some stats on him switching to blinkers off with 2-year-olds and non-graded stakes. He's 3 for 13, so winning 23% of the time. In the money, 69% of the time. And then just in general, in non-graded stakes at NYRA with 2-year-olds, he's 7 for 24, so 29% win. And I like the fact that this horse now gets blinkers off, and this horse has some pedigree on her as well. She was a $340,000 yearling, so clearly was pretty promising physically and pedigree wise. And then Maiden was impressive. I mean, anytime that you win on debut at Keeneland, you're going to put a little bit of weight into that. So I thought that this horse was interesting and also probably going to be a bit of a price as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. I wasn't, any more creative. I just went with the other Wesley Ward or Johnny V. That's Phoebe in Wonderland is the name of that one. I liked how she was able to sit a little bit off the pace, coming off the bit of a layoff. It was on a sealed track first time, so maybe we haven't seen the best, but I think this is I think we all kind of see this as maybe a 2-horse race, and those third choices maybe just in case something melts down or something goes crazy. But one more time through the picks, I picked it 614, Jackson 163, and Kaylee 615, and that is race number 3. That's the Notebook Stakes. And now we'll get into race number 6, which begins our late pick 5. We have 3 of the 5 on turf, which is I always love to see it. I don't know when we're wrapping up turf racing in Aqueduct, but it feels like it's got to be pretty soon. Normally
I think it's this weekend.
Is it this weekend?
I believe it is.
Okay, I was hoping we could get to Thanksgiving, but also to my memory, since Saratoga's ended, I don't think they've been off the turf a single day at Aqueduct, so it's gotten a lot of use. I know in years past they've kind of kept it going a little later because there were so many off the turf days that it was able to be preserved, but I don't think this is one of those years. So if it's this weekend, then we'll say goodbye in a big way. But we have 3 of the late 5 all on turf, and we're going to start with race 6 as I throw the picks up on the screen. Let me see here. Here we go. Race 6. I picked the race 4, 7, 12. Jackson picked the race 12, 3, 4, and Kaylee picked the race 2, 7, 3. Kaylee, we'll go to you again to start us off. You're picking Fake Celebrity on top, trained by Chad Brown. What'd you like here? An estate bred allowance, non-winners of 1 other than condition.
So I remember this horse actually when he debuted, and I just remember being really impressed with the horse's physical, first of all. And then obviously the horse broke his maiden second time out, getting a 67 buyer. So I know that that's, not the best speed figure going into this race, but this horse, second back off of a long layoff, I think should take another step up here. And then obviously Chad Brown on the turf, or Chad Brown in general, is deadly. And then this horse gets blinkers on, so that's another point that I think can make him take a big step up. And then the dam Riviera Chic won routing on the turf, and then ran in a few graded stakes races routing on the turf as well, posting like pretty good buyers, 84, 83, 78. And then Fake Celebrity is also a half to Brooklyn Strong, who's a really, really good horse. And then a half to Danielle's Pride, who won routing on the turf as well. And then, yeah, I think that this horse has figures good enough here to take a step up, enough to be able to win. So, and I think that you'll probably get a bit of a price on him as well.
Absolutely. The second of two Chad Brown entries in here. I like the post position more than his other entrant in here. I think he's going to be able to save a little more ground. I went with the 4, also a little to the inside. But Jackson, we'll go to you to the far outside to the number 12. Got to keep going. That's not Rohan. It's Royal Brown, trained by Rick Detro, ridden by, I believe, Jose Gomez. What drew you to this horse?
Yeah, I actually really like this horse. Obviously, the post is really bad, really, really bad. So I think we are going to get a fair price on him because no one's going to bet this horse from the 12 hole. And that's the biggest obstacle in my opinion. The way I saw this race, I thought there's only 3 that could win. It's the 3, 4, and 12. I'd be very surprised if it's anyone else. And the 3 and 4 are going to be your favorites. I'd have to imagine. So I'm going to go here with the 12 horse. I'm going to single him. I like him quite a bit. That's a horse with the most upside. I loved his 2 turf efforts. You go 2 back at Saratoga. Wasn't a great field, I don't think, but he did it the right way. He was 3 wide every step of the way. And he still won that race by open lengths. I mean, 2.5 lengths on the grass is a pretty big margin. Again, he did it the right way, jumped up in figures. Then last time, again, a good effort. He was 3 wide again in that race on each turn. Was right there in the stretch. Just was second best that day. But I loved that the first and third place finishers came from dead last. So he was the only one that stuck around that was on the pace. And I love that he jumped up again. He jumped up 10 points in that race. And it just feels like he's got the most upside, right? He's lightly raced. He's still a 3-year-old. A lot of these horses, we kind of know what they are at this point. They run that same race over and over and over again. And if he can get any kind of trip from that 12 post, I think he'll be really tough. So if he's around, I don't know, 6-1, 7-1, that seems like a pretty fair price to me.
I like it. Another note I had is I picked this horse in third. I just thought it was a good look that Detro runs him, off the layoff in a claiming level race, and then brings him back in a protected spot. So clearly he thinks that, this horse has got some ability. Clearly came out of that race in good order. So I like that horse in third, and I definitely am not going to talk you off. My top choice, as I try and find, we don't have the numbers up here yet, but I'm going with the number 4, Mr. Tonic for Kerry Bryan. Frankie Dettori hops on board, so that was a plus for me. Good post. Again, going to be able to save a little bit of ground here. Gets back in versus State Breds, where his win came running for the waiver at Saratoga this past summer. Frankie was aboard for that day as well. So I like this horse in this spot. Should be tactical. Should be able to close into what I think you're going to get. I don't know how much pace. You have the 11 Kid Creasa from the outside. That's going to definitely set a reasonable tempo. I don't know if anybody is going to go with him or her, but I think Mr. Tonic has a shot to close in here. We'll go. Let's see. We'll go to Kaylie next for the number 7, who I also picked in second. I believe that is the other Chad Brown. That's Amplitude. What'd you like here, Kaylie?
Well, actually, I think that Fake Celebrity is going to be like the other Chad Brown. This one will probably be your favorite out of the 2, I'd assume. So that's why I put him second. But yeah, you just cannot ignore this horse winning last time out at this distance, and getting a 73 buyer, and Pratt stays aboard here, which is a good sign. So that's why I went with this horse, and put the 2 Chads on top, and then kind of put the 3 underneath the 2 of them, whose run figures that are pretty much, I think, the most competitive out of all the horses in here as well. So I like the 3 of those. They were the standouts to me, definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, the three I had to leave off my ticket. I just didn't. The 5 seconds kind of bothered me, but obviously you picked this horse in third. This horse has some ability and has the strongest figures. Jackson, what took you or what led you to pick this horse in second?
Yeah, like you guys said, he's got the best figures, right? And it's really not that close just on the buyers. I haven't looked at time form yet, to be honest, but on buyers, he's a clear horse to beat. And that last race, I mean, they were 4 lengths clear of the rest. I know he lost at 4 to 5, but those were they were clearly the best horses in that race. BD Saints just much improved right now. He probably should have won last week when he came back. He had a really bad trip, and I think he got like 3rd. So that was a good field he was up against. He's got an inside post. He's tactical enough to he can be somewhat close to the pace, and he just makes a lot of sense in here. He'll be tough to beat if he repeats any of those last 3 efforts.
Yeah, absolutely. So that was that was race number 6. I picked the race 4, 7, 12. Jackson picked the race 12, 3, 4, and Kaylie picked the race 2, 7, 3. This is a tough race, at least I thought from the pick 5 standpoint. Jackson, I think you may have had a different view to tease it a little bit. But any other horses we want to speak about before we get go on to race number 7?
I just felt like there was a lot of filler in that field. A lot of those horses just kind of run around the track. They get 4th, they get 3rd, but there's only a few horses that are serious win threats, in my opinion.
I'm on board, and a lot of them seem to be of the lightly race typed. I don't think I phrased that correctly in a grammar sense, but whatever. You guys know what I mean. A lot of them are lightly raced, and I think that's going to be a plus because a lot of them kind of have that established form. Moving on to race number 7. It's a 1.125 mile, $10,000 claimer. I think we all picked the 3 on top. We all went 3-8 actually, and Kaylie abstained from picking a 3rd choice just because I guess if you have a strong opinion, we're okay with that. Jackson has a couple of those later on, so I'm the only one that actually managed to pick all 3, but I don't have much confidence in that 5. But Jackson, we'll start with you this time. We're talking about the number 3. That's Valenzuela Day, trained by Linda Rice, has won the last 4 straight. What'd you like here?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you guys, I don't love this race. I picked him on top because he's the most likely winner, but I don't view him as a lock or anything. I'm in the pick 5. I'm 5 deep. Don't feel great about it. Mostly because he's a horse. He needs lead. He absolutely needs lead to win. He's only ever won on the lead, and I'm not quite sure he's gonna get it. I mean, there's pace to his inside. There's pace to his outside. He's gonna have to work hard to get it. The problem is I didn't really trust any of the closers, right? There's not a huge closer that like leaps off the page at me. So I just spread it in here. He's got the best figures. He's got the best speed. It's just a matter of if he can get the right trip or not.
Yeah, absolutely. I kind of saw it the same way. I think Dylan's going to be aggressive from there and should send out to the lead. And I mean, I've never known the New York riders to be too aggressive on trying to get to the lead, but on dirt, they seem to be more intent than on the turf. But Kaylie, anything else that you wanted to add to pick the number 3 on top?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I don't really see this horse having a hard time necessarily getting the lead. I don't think it's a lock to get a lead, but I see this horse getting the lead and comes into this race in the best form of all of them, winning the last 4 starts, right? 4 in a row. Yeah. And also won at this distance as well. Going 1.125 miles. So, and these are Linda's spots where, she'll dominate here. So this horse to me, I viewed as a single in the pick 5. If I were to single anywhere, this was the one that jumped out at me.
Absolutely. Same here. Probably not going to get more than
3 to
5. Yeah. Like at the absolute, I would think 3 to 5 would kind of be not a gift, but it would be a reasonable price on this horse.
Right.
Good. There's a good shot. Valenzuela Day gets over bet. I want to say Valenzuela Day early on was in some stakes races. I don't quite remember, but underneath we all picked the number 8. Jackson, we'll go to you. That's number 8. I want to say Cumberland Blues. Yeah, Cumberland Blues is your second choice. Anything you really wanted to touch on here? I know you're 5 deep in the pick 5, so that was clearly for a reason.
Yeah, he's kind of been improving lately. His last 2 of his last 3 have been pretty competitive against the likes of the Faber in here. I know he wasn't too far behind him last time. He was only beaten a length. I'm curious to see how he handles the stretch out because I know he has won around 2 turns a couple of times, or maybe it's just once. He's won around 2 turns. He's proven around 2 turns, which the favorite isn't necessarily as strong around 2 turns. Just seems like one who's going to get a good trip. He'll be in the clear throughout. He won't be too far behind. He'll probably get first run on the deep closer. So he's probably your second choice in here. I know we're all 3-8 in here, so I'd be surprised if he's not the second choice.
Yeah, I agree. I saw this kind of as a merry-go-round race. I don't know how many horses are going to be making up a ton of ground as they come down the lane. It's obviously a low-level claimer. Kaylie, if you want to touch on your – oh, no, you only had 2 choices in here. But if you want to add anything to the 8 here.
Well, the 8 finished second last out to the Linda racehorse as well. And again, has the most competitive figures coming into this. But I ultimately ended up on the Linda racehorse again because he won at this distance. And also, this is his first time. I'm talking about the Linda racehorse, his first time in maiden 10. I know it's not like a big drop in class from like maiden 12,500, but I just thought, the horse won at all different levels and now drops again. So I'm pretty confident in this horse's ability for sure. And then
Same
I think
here.
the 8's probably the one to come close.
Same here. Pretty much the Linda Rice special here. Drops a little bit in claiming, has already won at a higher level. And I mean, I'd be surprised if this horse didn't win here. But hey, you got to run the race for the reason, or for a reason. Jackson, I'll have you touch on the number 5 horse here. That is Command Performance.
Yeah, once upon a time, he was a really good horse. It's been a while since he's been that guy, ever since he left the Joe Sharp barn, really. But again, this is one that I think if they go too fast, he can pick up the pieces running late. He needs a pace collapse to be competitive in here, but I don't think that's impossible. And I do think he's going to appreciate getting back to 2 turns because that seems to be where his best races have come from. So I'm not going to be surprised if he gives a pretty good account of himself in this race.
Absolutely, yeah. This horse had a strong start to his career, running second to Jack Christopher. Was a maiden for a little bit there and ran in 3 grade 1s before finally getting through at the maiden level. And then, just kind of left the he was with Pletcher to start, and then went to Joe Sharp, had a decent run, and just hasn't quite been the same horse. But I agree with you that that's a decent runner. Once upon a time, I went with the number 6 and 3rd, but again, I'm all Linda Rice as a lone A. On this one for me. So again, we will be throwing our pick 5 tickets up at the end of the 10 or at the end of these 5 races rather. But I picked the race 386, Jackson 385, and Kaylie 38. As we move on to race number 8, race number 8 is a state bred maiden special weight race going 1 mile and a 16th on the outer turf. We have, if I can throw it, there we go. What is this? Put the past performances up. Man, I'm losing it.
Look at you guys, identical over there.
I know. Kaylie and I both saw the race 2, 3, 10, and Jackson 1, 2. So Jackson, we'll start with you. Number 1, Autumn, a 0 for 11 maiden, but you clearly think today is the day. So go ahead and sell us.
No love for the 1, huh? That's crazy. All right. Let's see. Yeah, you can go broke betting horses like this, right? But just if they're 0 for 11, they just get second or they get third. But today has to be the day. I mean, this is a career soft spot for this filly. This is not a good field. And she draws perfectly on the rail. She's drawn inside. She's tactical enough to where she can be right on the lead, but she also can pass horses. So, I mean, she just has to get a great trip in here, I think. She's got the best figures. She should really appreciate getting back to 2 turns, I believe. Those 2 races going 2 turns at Saratoga this summer were really good. Those were against much better fields. She set fast paces both those days. Any of those efforts are good enough to win here. I just think this is a career soft spot for her. She's going to finally be favored in this race. If she loses today, she's never going to win.
Yeah, I don't entirely disagree. I just, once you get to this level of just your 0 for double digits, whatever it might be, and you have so many seconds and thirds, she might meet her friends here today. But I don't think she'll be taking any money in the win pool for me. I think I have this horse on my pick 5 ticket because it is a very soft field. I just didn't have this horse in my top 3. Kaylie, we'll go to you for the number 2. That is just one more. Both of our top picks and Jackson's second pick. What did you like here?
So just starting off, obviously, this horse had a really difficult debut. I think Grayosh bumped into the 3, who then bumped into this horse, and then the horse was just super uncomfortable. And this horse, I found a lot of so you can kind of see it was like a chain reaction, which is, pretty detrimental for a horse on debut. But and then Grayosh obviously is a really accomplished horse. I'm not saying this is somewhat of like a productive race, but it was a decent field that just one more was facing that day. And also, debuted going a mile. This was a mile and a 16th on the turf, and ran a 60 buyer here. And then something really interesting that I found about her pedigree was that she's a full sibling to Voodoo Song, who's a multiple graded stakes winner on turf. That's her full sibling, who won the 4-star Dave, and also a full sibling to Worth a Shot, who, interestingly enough, was also trained by Horatio de Paz. And that horse broke their maiden on the turf, and then went on to win 3 more back-to-back turf routes. And then all the other like half siblings were dirt or non-winners on turf. So the only 2 that are full siblings to this horse were both successful routing on the turf as well. And then also gets blinkers off here. And Horatio de Paz has won in spots like this, coming first back off a layoff. He's able to get them ready for spots like this. So I have no doubt that, this horse will come into this ready. Maybe, I won't be shocked if she needs a start, but I just, in a field that I didn't think was super intimidating, I thought that, I really liked the pedigree on this horse and had a really difficult debut. So, and I think, given that, might be a little bit of a price as well.
Absolutely. I'm hoping for a bit of a price. I love the post. I love the combination between Horatio de Paz and Santana. And then, everything you said. They're coming out of a pretty live race back in April with Chantilly Road and Grayosh, both of which are, pretty good quality Chad Brown horses. I really have nothing to add on the number 2 there. That was excellent. I'll touch on the number 3 real quick before I turn it back over to you, Kaylie, for our joint third pick in the number 10. I like a little bit naughty Danny Gargan, Junior Alvarado. I love that they hit it 44% on this tracker at this circuit. That's obviously pretty good. They have a strong ROI of $3.60. Again, good post, gets another shot at this distance. He's 0 for 5 so far, so he's kind of getting into that, not money burning territory, but he's getting into that, kind of pack mentality horse, I guess, if you want to call it that. But I'll give him another shot here. I like the post. Hasn't shown too much ability, but should be placed well enough, and that might be enough for this field. Jackson, you mentioned it with the number 1 Autumn. This is a pretty soft group, so it's really just going to be probably whoever gets the lead around the 16th pole. I can't imagine a lot of horses going to be passing another. This could be one of those kind of open length turf wins by one of these horses if any one of them decides to run their A game on Saturday. So I picked the number 3 as my second choice, but I really do like the 2 that you just talked about and just one more. And then the number 10 is Detonate, I want to say, trained by Christophe Clement. Kaylie, this was both of our third picks. Why don't you touch on what you liked here?
So, I mean, if I were to, have to pick a horse in third, obviously I have really strong reasoning with the number 2, just one more, and then the number 3 that you just talked about as well. But I mean, if you're going to pick a third horse, I landed on this one. Obviously, Clement, always dangerous on the turf. And I know this horse was in maiden 40 the last time, but comes back off a layoff. Probably will need a spot, but I mean a start. But I, out of all the others, that this is the one that I land on for third. Nothing that necessarily jumped off the page here, but just thought it was an interesting spot to, go back up in class. So maybe there's something there with that. And was kind of my thought process there.
Absolutely. Yeah. Romero Mirage takes the mount. Should be pretty. Jackson, do you have something to add?
Yeah, I do. I have a third horse. I totally blanked on. It's the 9. I do think the 9 has a good chance in here, and I thought she would be interesting at a price. just drawn the inside there.
That is elite status, Terra Nova, and Rosario. Oh,
Yeah,
good. I'm sure he won't find any traffic trouble.
No, I just thought it was interesting. She showed up. I remember that race last year. She showed up in a stakes race on debut. It wasn't like it was a soft field. There was 12 horses in there, and she ran really well. I mean, it was a fast pace. She got the lead of the stretch. She just got a little tired. Fine, no big deal. And then show up in a maiden race, and she didn't really run great, but she was favored, and something obviously went wrong because she hasn't been seen since, and that was 9 months ago. And, they paid a decent amount of money for her for being on the $5,000 stud fee. And I thought it was really interesting that Rosario winds up here instead of the Clement horse directly to his outside. Usually he's riding first call for Clement. So the fact that he's riding for a Terra Nova instead, I thought it was a little interesting. And she is one that should probably be forward in the spot. Don't know if she's good enough. Don't know if she even is going to like the turf. But if she's a big price, I'll throw her on some tickets somewhere.
Yeah, I can support that for sure. You got to think, sometimes horses really wake up on that first try on a new surface, and sometimes that's like just their best effort. So you never know. Maybe this horse will surprise. And you mentioned that stakes debut for the number 9 elite status was pretty impressive. So maybe fire's fresh, and a fresh fire here and fresh face in a race that could certainly use one, because I think Autumn and a few others have seen each other a good handful of times. But that's race number 8. I picked the race 2, 3, 10, as did Kaylie. And Jackson, you picked the race 1, 2. We'll move on to race number 9, which is our second stakes race on the program. Yep, I did my counting correctly. It's a 2-year-old. It's the Central Park listed stakes. 2-year-olds, not state bred. Let me throw the picks up here. I picked the race 9, 4, 3. Jackson picked the race 4, 9. And Kaylie picked the race 9, 10, 5. So we all have the number 9, who's got to be your morning line favorite. That's Early Adopter, trained by Chad Brown, ridden by Flavian Pratt, owned by Klarovich Stables. Obviously, very threatening connections here. Kaylie, we'll start with we'll go back to you again. Number 9, Early Adopter. What had you hooked here?
So obviously everything that you said, very threatening connections. And also I like this horse a lot. Ran third last time out in the Pilgrim against some really tough horses, Zulu Kingdom and Noble Confessor, 66 buyer, obviously not really, but that was over a yielding turf course as well. So I'm kind of, looking at it that way, where maybe getting back on firm turf, this horse can take another step up. Obviously the horse Super Swift on his outside is coming in with like a better buyer figure, but I like the number 9 on top for Chad Brown. I think this horse showed a lot of promise in debut, and then also next time out in the Pilgrim. And like you said, very dangerous connections. I don't know the price that you'll be able to get on this horse. Probably going to end up being the favorite, I would assume. But yeah, I like this horse's chances here for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. And another just kind of Chad Brown angle, I guess I like in New York, is when he only enters one, typically that means they're pretty well meant for that spot. And we have a handful coming out of the Pilgrim race that was run over the yielding course. Obviously, Zulu Kingdom won that, who went on to run in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf. Yeah. I don't know how well he ran that day, but still some good company to keep. And Noble Confessor's a good horse as well. So yeah, I wasn't too creative here. Jackson, you and I both picked the 4. You picked this the 4 horse on top.
Sorry.
Oh yeah. What do you got?
I'd be surprised if he's not your favorite. And usually when I see his run lines like checked or had trouble, blah blah blah, there are horses I'm going to try to beat next time unless it was really significant, just because I think everyone sees that and they're like, okay, I'm gonna upgrade the horse, I'm gonna upgrade this horse because he had trouble. But I went back and watched the replay. It was significant trouble because he was moving with the winner. They were dead even top of the stretch, and the horse just completely came in his path and cut him off late. And I loved that he still had the ability to recover from that, and he kept trying the finish line because he got shuffled back a couple spots there. Came back good to get third, galloped out in front of the field. It was an impressive effort, I thought, from him.
Absolutely. We're watching the replay back here. He's the number 8 horse right here. I think it's the 4 that comes in on him.
The 6
4 is the winner. Sorry, the 6 comes out pretty hard.
Yeah.
As you can see, it caused Early Adopter to switch leads, and then he still kind of regained his momentum here towards the end and kicked right back on. So I'm in complete agreement with you. As you can see, Noble Confessor was catching Zulu Kingdom there on the wire, but
He's going to gap out in front of everyone right now, I believe.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, we
Here it
can.
comes. It's in the zoom in. Okay,
well,
maybe not.
There we go.
There he is.
There he is. There he is. He's galloping out.
It was a good effort. I think it was a tank there.
It was
just a short price is the only reason I didn't put it on top.
Absolutely. This horse has found, kind of not unique trouble, but has found some trouble in his first two. Manny Franco lost the crop in the first one, and it was a pure hand ride, still got up by a neck. So you can see that the talent is clearly here with this horse. I think this is the race where early adopter puts it all together, hoping for a clean trip. And then obviously we know what Chad Brown can do on turf at New York. So not too much else to say there. Jackson, I'll give you a chance to touch on the number 4, Jack and Jim, for Graham Motion, who I don't know if Graham Motion sells merch, but you need to buy some because I've never seen a bigger Graham Motion fan.
Yeah, I feel like this is kind of a new thing for me. I just pick all the motion horses, but I've had a lot of success with it, so I can't argue with the results, except maybe test score because that one really did. But he ran great. Anyways, this horse on debut, he ran really well. And if you remember, this was early in the meet when the turf course was just a merry-go-round. I mean, it was just you go to the front and you would all be gone. It did not matter. No one was doing anything from behind. And this race was really no exception. The second, third, and fourth place finishers were first, second, and fourth throughout. I mean, they were all in the lead. I think there was like a 95-1 shot that was up there that finished up the track, but he doesn't count because he's 95-1, had no business being in the race. And he came from mid-pack and he came from off of it. He wasn't really glued to the rail or anything. He didn't break great, and he got the job done against a pretty solid field. Those second and third place finishers came back. They got second and third again. They faced a good maiden horse a couple weeks ago, I believe it was. So it was pretty live race, got a big figure for it. And these motion horses, they just always move forward second time out. So if he does and he gets any kind of trip in here, which I think he should, there's enough pace. There's some stretch out sprinters. He's going to be a big key for me. He'll be my single. I'm not sure what price will be, but if he can get 4-1, maybe even 3-1, I mean, I think I would take 3-1 on him. He's a strong push for me.
Yeah, certainly. And going the mile distance, getting to save ground from that number 4 spot should be beneficial to him. Last note I have is Graham Motion has really strong numbers with this move. 5 for 20 with 2-year-old maiden winners going into stakes in their next try. So love those numbers. 25%, nothing wrong with that. Huh?
He should be 6 for 20.
Okay. If you can't tell, Jackson's still upset that test score did not get the job done at Del Mar. But yeah,
I should show the people my ticket.
Jack and Jim should give a good account of himself here. This is the logical, at least I think to me, the logical second choice behind the number 9, and I think you are going to get a pretty fair price. 3-1 does seem fair. I could even see maybe 7-2 if this Chad Brown early adopter really does get hammered. The windows. Kaylie, I know you touched on this horse a little bit, but I want you to add any points that you want on number 10 Super Swift.
So yeah, number 10 Super Swift ran a 75, finishing second last time out in listed stakes, but open company, sprinting on the turf. I do have my concerns with the Vacomas when they stretch out. I haven't really seen like much to believe that, he's going to be like a sire that produces like routers or anything, but I think a mile is like pretty appropriate for this horse to stretch out to. I don't know any further than that, but definitely showed like that a mile would be appropriate to stretch out to. And then this horse, the Dam Super Marina, is won multiple times on the turf. And then also this horse is a half to a horse named Russian Realm. That's the only other sibling, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Correct, yeah.
And, this horse runs on the dirt now, but did try turf. I really like this horse personally, Russian Realm. So, I mean, when I saw that this was a half to Russian Realm, and I know, how nice Russian Realm is physically and also clearly on the racetrack as well. Maybe on dirt, yeah, but also is able to handle distance. So that's a good sign as well. And this horse comes in with the most competitive speed figure as well. So George Weaver 2-year-old as well, usually pretty dangerous. So that's why I went towards this horse in second.
Absolutely. Yeah. Took a big step up going on to turf in that second try. after breaking the maiden over sealed course, had 3 turf works. Gets in here again, stretching out. And yeah, the Vekoma, I pulled up the sire numbers as you were explaining your take on Super Swift. And I mean, Vekoma's just had one of the most ridiculous, debut years in my memory. Yeah, not sure how he'll do kind of long term, but his offspring have been so precocious that he might just win this based on that alone. Obviously, the number 9 is really well bred with Adelope de Vega. And then Jackson, you touched on the number 4, Jack and Jim out of Slumber, who I'm a big fan of Slumber, even though I just don't really know. I know his numbers haven't been stellar, but I've liked him enough, and I'll just keep giving him a shot here. Last horse I'll touch on, and then we'll turn it to you, Kaylie, to touch on the number 5. But the number 3, Fire Pit, I think you should get a pretty good price on this horse, hopefully double digits, but has a win versus winners, which a lot of these can't say. And that effort came going 2 turns on the turf, so gets right back to that, going the distance, opened up a 5-length lead at Laurel last time out. Again, don't know what he faced. That was definitely at a lesser track, but going to get a decent price on a horse with some decent turf breeding. Nothing screams turf. Certainly not, of the Lope de Vegas or the Slumbers or any of those kind of European bred horses that this one's going to meet in here, but should save a decent amount of ground. Low profile connections at this track, but they hit 24% overall outside of here. And you got to love that this horse has 4 in the money finishes and 2 first, 2 seconds out of 5 starts already in this young 2-year-old career. So at least a competitive trier that I think could maybe get something in the money. And then Kaylie, number 5, Davy Crockett is your third choice in here.
So yeah, Davy Crockett broke his maiden last time out, getting a 69 buyer. And this horse is another one of the horses in the group that has, all 3 of his starts have been at a mile and a 16th. Now he cuts back to a mile, so he should be dead fit coming in here. And then Clement hits at a very high percentage under these conditions as well. Don't have the exact number, but as we know, Clement's always, dangerous on the turf. And I really like this horse. I was impressed with his last race as well. So I didn't want to count him out there. And he's the clear third choice for me, and, not a horse that I would leave off of my pick 5 as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. You see that race 2 back. That Davy Crockett was in. That was a pretty live race with valuation metric. And then, of course, Davy Crockett coming back out to win in their next start. But, yeah, Davy Crockett had that nice Joel Rosario ride where he gets out to the front and he's just able to get that horse to relax into his hands pretty nicely. Jackson, do you have any other horses you wanted to touch on here in the 9th race?
Not really. Quick shout out to Chris Couples, who I know watches a lot of our shows. He told me this horse was going to win last time, and he was not wrong. I had a nice little win bet on him at 7-2, I think he was. So nice. I'm sure he'll bet him again on Saturday.
There we go. Well, good luck there. Those are our picks. I picked the race 9-4-3. Jackson picked the race 4-9, again abstaining from a third choice, and Kaylie picked the race 9-10-5. We're going to move on to race number 10, which I think we all kind of had I don't want to say trouble with, but it's a difficult race. And Jackson clearly just punted by picking an AE as his second choice, but that horse is probably going to draw in. I'm just kidding. That's not a punt, but that horse is probably going to draw in with a 12-horse field like this. But we're going 6 furlongs, 2-year-old fillies, state bred on the dirt. I'm going to lead us off here and talk about the number 12 Spool because I love this horse. This is my top pick in here. I was close to singling, but the 2 horse that myself we'll all touch on later as Kaylie, you picked that horse on top. But the dam of the number 12 has produced 4. Oh, let me throw the.
Hey, who's the big Red Motion fan now, huh?
Hey, we can all root for him.
All right.
But Manny Franco takes them out here for an Eclipse Thoroughbred owned Graham Motion trained filly. Hard spun out of the Smart Strike. The Damn Forever Smart has produced 4 first-time out winners from 9 starters. That's like 44%, which is pretty nice. Has some good sharp works leading into this. 2 bullets on the 18th and the 24th. I like the spacing of the drills coming into here about every 7 to 8 days apart, which is what I like to see. And they seem to be working pretty well. She seems to be working pretty well as well. Draws to the outside should sit a relatively clear trip. Obviously, the 12 post is a little far out there, but for these maiden runners, I think if you were to take something away from them, you can take some ground loss. It's the kind of trouble that can get these 2-year-olds into, not running great. But I think if the best horse has a wide trip, I think that's going to be enough. So that was enough to give me a fair bit of confidence to pick the number 12 on top. I don't know what this morning line is going to be. If I had to guess, maybe 4-1 on Spool would be my guess. I'm no David Aragona. I'm just Ryan, just doing my best out here. But I wanted the number 12 on top here. That's going to be how I end the day in the pick 5. But Kaylie, we'll go to you with the number 2, who Jackson picked 3rd and I picked 2nd. 3rd-time starter, Blue Eyed Scout.
Yeah, so this is one of the horses that comes in here with a bit of experience, 2 races under her belt. And specifically looking at her work since her last start, to back on November 3rd, working first out of 178 horses, 4 furlongs and 48 flat. So that's super impressive. And then back on October 21st, working first out of 52 horses. So I like the spacing of those bullet works as well. I like that the fact that this horse has a couple races under her belt and just missed last time and showed some good early speed as well, which will be key here. So I think this horse can probably take them gate to wire. And yeah, that's what I liked about this horse.
Absolutely. I'm in complete agreement with you there that the speed for these 2-year-olds in, races where not a whole lot have experience, especially these state bred ones where you don't see a lot of quick works, not a lot of bullets on the work tab. This horse is clearly quick. This horse can clearly get to the lead. And I think that's going to be obviously a huge benefit to Blue Eyed Scout in this spot. So that's why I picked this horse 2nd. Jackson, I know you picked this horse 3rd. Did you have anything to add before we get to yours?
No, she's going to be her favorite, and she's clearly the one to beat, right? I mean, that 57 kind of leaps off the page. No one else has really done anything anywhere near that, to be honest. And I like that she closed on debut, and last time she showed speed, so that versatility should be pretty useful in a big field like this.
Absolutely. We'll go right to the outside and pretty magical. This is your top pick, Jackson. What did you like here? Take us through it.
Yeah, I'm not sure what price she's going to be. I'm very curious to see how they bet her, because I think there's more talent than she showed last time. Obviously, she didn't run at all. She ran against With the Angels, who I think we already talked about. She's by far the best state bred horse in New York right now. It's not even close. And she just got ranked. She didn't do too much running. She didn't get bet either. But I do think it was interesting that Johnny V showed up to ride that day, and she ran that poorly, and he still bothers to show up again a second time for Mark Henning. So I think there's more that meets the eye here. I was able to see a workout on XBTV. I think it was from right before her debut in August. And she worked with a horse called, oh my God, I didn't write it down. Let me try to see if I have it still. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the horse. It was a good horse. She ran in a really live Saratoga turf race against Marvelous Madison. She finished 3rd that day. And then she came back to run a really good 2nd. And I think it was last week at Belmont. So, and the horse did all the dirty work, was really quick out of there. And this filly actually outworked that horse. She wasn't quite as quick out of the gate, but she did go up to meet her and clearly outworked him in the stretch. So I just felt like there was more than meets the eye here. I'm going to give her a chance to improve from that first start.
Absolutely. Yeah. I like that. I think, I don't know, you'll probably get a morning line price of at least 12-1. And I think if you see, this will be the horse where if you see this horse taking money, that'll be kind of a good sign. But yeah, I don't know what price you're necessarily hoping for, but
Forever to Go is the name. She's run
Forever to Go. There it is.
And in the money belt times against good fields, and she
found it. You found it just before it was too late. Kaylie, we'll turn it to you real quick. I know you picked the 12 in 2nd. Did you have anything you wanted to add on Spool?
I completely agree with everything you said. Spool comes from a precocious female family, so that's something that really jumped out at me. Works look good as well, like you said. 4 of her siblings broke their maiden on debut. Best Idea was one of them, who ran an 85 on debut, sprinting on the dirt. So yeah, I really like this horse. That's why I have her 2nd. And then also the 8, I put third. If it's okay if I just jump in now.
Oh, of course.
Miss Tiramisu.
Yeah, great name.
Who also
Tiramisu. Delish.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell, like with, obviously I can look at the times of these works, but not really working with a lot of other horses because they're just working at their home stable, close neck stables. So didn't read too much into the works, but did look into the pedigree. The dam broke her maiden on debut, sprinting on the dirt, and both siblings did as well. Two of them, they both broke their maiden on debut as well. And then the trainer is 5 for 25, winning 20% of the time and 48% in the money in maiden special weight dirt sprints with first time starters. And then also gets Dylan Davis aboard as well. So
Absolutely. Yeah. I like Miss Tiramisu for more than just the name. I like all the points that you mentioned. First time starter. You don't really know what you're going to get. But again, this field hasn't really shown too much. So I like the pick. Jackson, we'll go to you for the number 13, Honey in the Bank. Another good name.
Great name. Hopefully she gets in because I do think she's pretty interesting in here. Don't love that Davis jumps off, but you lose nothing with Ricardo Santana Jr. I liked her debut. I thought it was decent. I don't know how great the field was, but she ran okay. She broke with the field, was up close to the pace, passed a couple horses in stretch. It was a useful debut for a trainer that usually does a little bit better second time out anyways. And I like that they hike her up in class. It's a confident move for me because this is a tougher field. And you touched upon a little bit earlier, Ryan, that you don't really know what you're getting with these first time starters. I feel like I'm looking at these horses and there's a lot of bullet workouts for a New York bred field. And it makes me think there's a lot of horses that have speed. And if this horse can get out of the gate, just be in the clear throughout, get comfortable, get into a rhythm, I can see her coming running on late at a big price. So I needed her in there here somewhere. You're going to see in a minute. I'm very, very deep in the pick 5. So this isn't like a big push or anything, but I do need her somewhere because she's going to be 20-1 and she can pass horses. And I can't say the same for many in here.
Absolutely. Yeah. Showed a lot of talent on that debut effort. Going 6.5 against Statebird Maiden 40. Yeah. Passed some runners, obviously finished a little over 10 lengths out of it, but those two were pretty far ahead. And I think the way the race was run, it didn't really set up too well. So yeah, showing that ability just first time out. And then obviously the confidence of DePaz to move this horse up into protected maiden special weight ranks. You got to love
I'd be
that.
curious if you could go to the time form, if it's up yet. I don't know if it is. Just the figure.
Oh, my bad. That was not what I meant to click on.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because she actually, on Buyer, she's got the second highest figure of the horses that I've ran.
Oh, I didn't get time for him.
Okay, never mind then. I'll get that later.
Hold on.
We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Don't
I thought I had it.
You're good.
All right.
She's my second pick.
There we go. Second pick. And then I will eventually get back to the number 8 here. Wow, I'm jumping all over the place. Okay. Nope. The number 10, Truly Magic, is the horse that I picked in third. We got there. Yeah, I didn't have too much. Obviously, I do like the George Weaver first time out. 18% with a 312 ROI is not bad. Pratt bothers to take them out here, which I like. They're 50% out of only 4 starters at this circuit, but a 445 ROI. So it shows that he gets some live mounts for the barn. Out of Fog of War has been pretty decent. I think this horse might ultimately want turf. But I think, again, I don't know what this horse is going to face in here. So was willing to take a shot at Truly Magic, but that's my third choice. But I have a pretty strong opinion with the number 12 on top in Spool. Jackson or Kaylie, did either of you have any other horses you wanted to touch on before we get into our pick 5s?
Yeah, I agree. I looked at Truly Magic for a bit of some time as well, but I was kind of confused on, the somewhat of a turf pedigree and then also the works on the turf. So I guess we'll see. I think it's a logical place to fall, putting that horse in third, but I guess we'll see. But I completely agree with Spool as well. I mean, obviously I have the 2 on top with some experience, but Spool has a very precocious pedigree. So pretty excited to see that horse run.
Absolutely. Same here. Jackson?
I wish they would have put this race as the first leg of pick 5 because the 2 has got to be your favorite. I have to think,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I won't be
Yeah.
surprised if like the 10 and 12 take a lot of money too. So it would be nice to see the odds board on this race just to see how they bet it because I won't be surprised. The 10 especially, I think could take a lot of money with the connection.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see how this race gets bet, and it's going to be impossible for us to tell because we won't know until we see the will pays that we're all alive to in our pick 5s.
Yeah, exactly.
But I picked the race. That's race number 10. Sorry, go.
Oh, sorry. And the 2 gets IRAD, I'm pretty sure, too. So, yeah.
That's
all the more reason. If the 2 is not the favorite, that'd be a really big
That's a huge red flag if the 2 is not the favorite. Get off that horse immediately. But race number 10, I picked the race 12, 2, 10. Jackson picked the race 3, 13, and 2. And Kaylie picked the race 2, 12, 8. Those are our picks. And then now I will throw up the pick 5 tickets. We gave ourselves a $50 budget for this one. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in here. We will get through these pick 5 tickets. Yikes. As there's a lot of numbers going across the screen right now. So let me try and see if this makes it any better. And it kind of does. Okay. Kaylie, we'll start with you. You went 2, 3. Actually, if you just want to walk us through your pick 5 ticket, total of $48.
So yeah, I went with the 2, the 3, and the 7 in the first leg. And then in the second leg, I singled the Linda racehorse because that was the race that I saw the most single potential there. I couldn't really find anywhere else to single. So I went with the 3 there, which I'm pretty confident in. And then in the third leg, I did the 2 and the 3. And then in the fourth leg and the fifth leg, I spread a little bit wider. I did the 9, 10, 4, and the 5. Sorry, 4, 5, 9, and 10 in the 9th race. And then in the 10th race, I did 2, 3, 8, 12. So it's a $48 ticket.
Absolutely. I like it. You pressed your opinion up with the Linda Rice horse and got some coverage everywhere else. Jackson, why don't you take us through your ticket that starts off with a pretty bold single?
Yeah, well, we talked about that the other day, Ryan. Like, if I'm going to play a pick 5, I'm going to do it to hit a big one. I'm not going to do it to get some favorites home. So I'm going to press my big opinions in the races. I don't feel great about it. We're just going to spread and hope for the best. So I'm going to single that 12 horse. I think he's going to be like 8-1-ish just because of the post alone. But I do think he's one of the most likelier winners. So he's got to get some kind of trip from there. So fingers crossed there. I'm spreading that second race. I know you guys both feel pretty good about that Linda horse. We'll see. She's definitely the one to beat, but I'm going to try to beat her, hopefully. The third leg, I like the Autumn horse, who you guys don't like, but hopefully today's the day. But if not, I would like the 2. The 2's gonna be a bigger price. We all have them on our tickets, so let's get that 2 home. I'll take that. And then the 4, Jack and Jim, that's gonna be my big push of the day. Chips all in. I'm gonna have a win bet on him. I'll probably have doubles going to him too. So let's get that 4 horse home. And then the last race is just impossible. Good luck. We're gonna be 8 deep. I could be live for a bunch to all those horses and not feel good about it. Like it's a tough race.
Absolutely. Sorry, got distracted for a second. Yeah, that last race, I mean, you certainly viewed it as impossible. You used basically the entire field. But hey, that 12 is going to be at least 6-1, you'd have to think on the morning line. If you get through that one, you spread in the next leg where I know, Kaylie, you and I singled the Linda Rice horse. It's going to be 3-5. And you use that horse as well. But if you beat that horse, you're already looking at a payout that's going to be pretty substantial. And then you said, we got to get Autumn or, that other 2 horse home. And then you got Jack and Jim and all the rest. I'd
probably go all. I'm sorry, Ryan. I would go all if it wasn't for the budget.
For the budget.
That doesn't make any sense, right? To have no opinion and have 8 to 12, then get beat by someone you like. It just makes sense. I'll go all.
I will say, Jackson, you and I this past weekend, we threw together a pick 5 ticket, unless it was the weekend before. I don't know. I'm getting my days mixed up. But, we collabed on it. We each took a couple races. I hit the all button in the first leg, and that was the only race we hit. So we can at least hang our hat on that. And it was not the favorite that won. So
that was a one-off, people.
That was a one-off. Our tickets are normally not that awful. It was one of those days. But this pick 5 ticket's going to hit. I'm pretty confident. I'm going basically every horse in the first race. I'm going 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, and 12. Going really deep in that route race for state breds. Then I'm singling the Linda Rice horse, as is Kaylie. That's just a really strong opinion. That horse should run really well. And I mean, I don't see too many excuses for that horse as long as he breaks well. Next race, I'm going 5 deep. It's 1, 2, 3, 9, and 10. So I am using Autumn in there just because that is a pretty soft field. And then I wanted to spread and go a little bit deeper, or as deep as I could for the budget that we allowed ourselves. Those state-bred turf route races are always pretty tough. It's a lot of like the same kind of horses running against each other, so you can get a lot of different outcomes. The next race, Early Adopter, is going to be my second single on the sequence, just because I really think that horse is going to be well met in this spot. I think, as long as this horse doesn't encounter a bunch of trouble again, this horse should be much the best, or at least, get her nose down on the wire, get his nose down on the wire. And then in the final race, I'm going 2-12. I might narrow this down and just actually press the 12 when I really think about it, but because I think Spool's got a really good shot. But obviously, IRAD on the horse with some speed to the inside is going to be a big threat and going to take some money. Obviously, hoping for some prices in the first and the third leg, or else I may be SOL on terms of a decent payout here if it kind of chalks out with the rest of it. But that's my pick. Those are our pick 5 tickets. Mine is $40. Jackson is $45, and Kaylie is $48. Jackson, I'm particularly proud of you for staying under the $50 budget because that doesn't always happen. But well done, sir.
I originally had it 54. I had the text ready to send you. I'm going over the limit, and then the last second I was like, whatever. I'll go under. I cut it down.
I appreciate that. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Before we wrap it up, though, I do want to have a brief conversation as we kind of round out the year here. Obviously, Breeders' Cup just wrapped up, and Eclipse Awards are going to be voted on. I'm pretty sure best jockey should absolutely be Flavian Pratt. I don't know who else you kind of argue with. But 3-year-old male horse of the year, or 3-year-old male champion, however you want to describe it, I think is a pretty wide open award that could be given right now. Kaylie, we'll start with you. Who do you think is going to be your 3-year-old male champion?
Okay, so this honestly breaks my heart a little bit to admit, because I love Sierra Leone so much. I had future Derby bets on this horse the year before, in 2023. I love this horse so much, but I mean, I really have to give it to Fierceness. I think he's had the best year out of all the 3-year-old males. He put together back-to-back wins. He won the Jim Dandy, and then he went on to win the Travers. And then he comes into the Breeders' Cup Classic, and he's the only horse to stick with the pace. I'm not going to say he ran a better race than Sierra Leone, but he had things, kind of against him. He was the only one to stay with the pace. It kind of set up perfectly for Sierra Leone, even though he ran huge as well. And then if you're going to look back to the beginning of Fierceness's year, winning the Florida Derby, that was just a monster of a race that he ran. And then everyone was super doubtful that he would be able to put back-to-back wins together and this and that. And in my opinion, every single time I see this horse, he looks better and he looks stronger, and I will never doubt that horse again. Not like I did much, but I just think he very much deserves 3-year-old male champion. And if you want to talk about the Travers as well, he beat your likely horse of the year there, which breaks my heart again to say, but he did beat her. Not by much, but I think she's an absolute monster, and he beat her, and he did that on heart. And I really, really I think he deserves it, honestly.
I don't entirely disagree. Jackson, who do you think is your 3-year-old male champion this year?
Well, it's interesting, Kaylie, because we're in agreement that the horse that we don't think should win it is going to how did I just say that? We don't think is going to win, doesn't deserve to win, is going to win. But I think it's the other horse. I think Fierceness is better than Sierra Leone. I think he's a better horse. He's more talented. He ran so much better in the Classic than Sierra Leone did. But in the 2 biggest races of the year, Sierra Leone beat him. And this isn't the best, most talented award. It's best, season. Who had the best season? Who did the most? And it was Sierra Leone. He won the biggest race of the year. He won the Bluegrass, and he was second in the Derby. Was he second or third? Was he third?
Yeah, he was second. He was second.
He was second. Oh.
He was right. He was a nose away. Is
Yeah.
my point. And
Yeah.
the classic is just that's the deal breaker. It's the biggest race of the year, and he got the job done, and that's going to be the difference in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm on Sierra Leone's train. I'm a big fan of Sierra Leone. I'm happy he finally put it all together in the classic. Obviously, he had a wicked pace to chase, and Fierceness, I think, overall ran the best race to stay on that after a sub 45 half mile, which was record time, and then I forget what they went to 3/4, but it was 1:0 something. It was just, again, ridiculously fast. Sierra Leone seemed to be the only horse that made up any substantial ground, and he made a really I can't say early move because that's the move you have to make at Del Mar coming around the far turn, but certainly made a big and sustained run. Obviously got to Fierceness, got past Fierceness, and then got it home. And I think while they both had really strong years, I think Sierra Leone was the more consistent runner this season. Obviously, he had the Grade 1 win earlier in the year in the Bluegrass that I still, I singled just a touch that day, but we don't need to get into it. Sierra Leone, came and got that. I had Sierra Leone in the Derby. That was one of the more confident picks I'd ever had in the Derby, and I felt so good until I saw him lugging in like a 1,200-pound wrecking ball and just kind of bounced around in there. That was a mess, but he definitely had some growing up to do, and I think Fierceness did a fair amount of growing up too, and they both turned into some really competitive horses who we get to see them both run again as 4-year-olds, which I think at least that's the plan right now from all accounts, but that's going to be special to see because they do have a bit of a rivalry kind of going. But I got to lean Sierra Leone just because he's never been out of the try in all of his starts in his career, and in the 3-year-old that obviously stays true as well. And then Jackson, you brought up in the two biggest races, the Derby and the Classic, Sierra finished ahead of Fierceness. And I think that'll be enough of a determining factor, but I mean, they're both pretty worthy horses.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. Like in the two most important races of the year that, he finished ahead, but he didn't. And, I love Sierra Leone, so I'm just playing devil's advocate, but like he didn't win the Derby. Like, and honestly, like the Derby I'm viewing as like a bit of a toss, and Fierceness put together back-to-back wins. And I just think, he's had just the more dominant year. I mean, Sierra Leone's way more consistent in some ways, obviously. But yeah, I think Fierceness really deserves his flowers. And he was also the only horse to beat your potential horse of the year this year as well. Not like that's a big point, obviously two different divisions, but I do think it's important to note. But yeah, I completely agree with what you guys are saying about Sierra Leone as well. And I think it's so cool that they're all running next year, and we're at least planning to, and it's great for the sport, and they're all like generational horses, which is really cool.
It is great for the sport. That's a good point, with Torpedo, Fierceness, and Sierra all planning on coming back, along with Carl Spackler, who's a great turf router as well. It's going to be fun to see that 4-year-old division on dirt come back next year, because I think they're all kind of aiming for the Pegasus and then probably overseas in Dubai or Saudi Arabia. So we'll see how everything progresses, but it's certainly going to be, I think whoever wins between Fierceness and Sierra Leone, I think is going to deserve it. You can make very valid arguments for them both. Personally, I wish Dornoch had raced on if he had been able to, because he would have been who I was going to bang the drum for, because, I mean, Belmont Stakes winner, Haskell winner, I think those two Grade 1s, even though he didn't really face, the big guys, I guess, in the Travers. He faced Mindframe, who just loves to run in the middle of the track. But, if Dornoch had run in the Breeders' Cup Classic, I don't know where he would have been. He likes to be forward, and I think that they maybe would have gone 43 to the half if Dornoch had been in there. So I don't know how well his Classic would have held up. But that has been the first episode of Big Hoof Energy. I'm your host, Ryan Anderson. This is Jackson Muniz. I think that way, if I'm pointing the right way. I'm probably still pointing. Whatever. One day I'll point the right direction. And obviously our newest co-host, Kaylie Shapiro. Kaylie, thanks so much. I'm excited to, get this series going. Tune in next week. Same time, maybe on Wednesday for next week. Just stay posted on X. We'll let you know what's going to go on. But that has been our our first show. We're doing the Saturday late pick 5 at Aqueduct. Here are our picks again, and then you can go a little on earlier if you want to see our picks for the listed notebook stakes. Please subscribe to our YouTube, turn on notifications, follow us all on X. Everything you need to know is in the description. And until next time, take care, and we'll see you then.